last year I moved into a new house, and because I had to do the down payment and because I had to buy furniture, I was very short on money, so I couldn't do the garden. And now all the neighbors on my street, they have beautiful gardens, and I have a freaking jungle. I mean, there's bushes growing in there and spiders and cobwebs and everything, and I'm the laughing stock of the neighborhood. So I'm like, you know what? I'm still not doing very well with money, but at least I am doing well enough so I can hire a gardener. And I go and I ask people, it's like, hey, do you happen to know someone that does gardening? And nothing triggers me more. Nothing gets my blood boil. Like, honestly, there's like this throbbing vein on my throat that starts going to when I hear someone going like, and why don't you do it yourself? Why don't you do it yourself? You know what? I hope these people get unemployed and never find a job and get in a ditch where they fucking belong. Because, listen, you smartass, if everyone did everything by themselves, you wouldn't have a job either now, would you? What the fuck are you doing? Are you a consultant? Well, what if everyone did consulting by themselves? Are you a web designer? Well, what if everyone did web designing by themselves? You would starve to death, wouldn't you? You wouldn't have anything to put on your freaking table because you have this mentality that everyone needs to do shit by themselves. I hope one day when you go to a doctor and it's like, oh my god, I might have an appendix. And the doctor goes like, well, why can't you diagnose yourself? Why don't you learn how to diagnose yourself? And while you're doing that, why don't you learn how to do surgery on yourself? Because that's your freaking mentality, right? My god, like these people are so freaking annoying. It's not that like, look, and not to mention like do it yourself. So now I would have to buy the tools. I would have to buy the equipment. I would have to study on how to fucking do it. I would probably have to spend more money on stuff that I would probably break. Because I don't know how many people get it right the first time when they do it. When you fucked for the first time with your girlfriend, did you do it properly? The first time, I mean. The very first. Was it that amazing? Probably not. Because most people don't do it better the first time. They get better at it with time, don't they? So, okay, now I need to spend all money on that shit. I don't have a car, so I probably need to spend more money. I still need to hire someone to deliver the things to me, right? The fertilizer and the earth and the plants and the grass and all of that. And at the end of the day, it's probably going to be more expensive than if I just hire someone to do it. And now the chat is going to act smart. There's probably people, you right now are just click-clacking. It's like, just do it yourselfie. Why do you watch my video? Why don't you make your own YouTube videos and watch them? Huh? What do you need me for? I genuinely do not understand this rationale. Like maybe someone can explain it to me. Look, if you know a trade, all right, if you know how to build something, if you're a carpenter, if you're a gardener, you should appreciate the fact that there are people like me that don't do it themselves so that we can hire your ass to do it. Because we appreciate the fact that you know to do this. I look with admiration at someone that can do these things that I do not know how to do. I admire your work. I admire it so much that I am willing to pay so that you can do it. I even pay generously so that you can do it because I care about the fact that you know this. Why are you being a twat and you're saying that everyone should know what you're doing? I don't want to live in a world where everyone knows how to make YouTube videos. I don't want to live in a world where everyone has a squeaky voice and rants about trivial shit, because then no one would watch me. There wouldn't be anyone that cares about what I mean. It would be counterintuitive now, wouldn't it? These people, they're so annoying, honestly. Just like, ah. And the funny thing is, you know, I went to a neighbor and I was like, so how did you do it? It's like, oh, well, it's not hard. Do it yourself. And then I find out, do you know what I find out, chat? Do you know what I find out? I found out that he hired a company to do his. I found out that he hired a fucking company to do his. And I was like, oh my God. And that's when the rant came in. That is when I realized that I can't keep this bottle up inside. I need to express myself. I need to vocalize this. Not to mention, like, when you pay someone else to do it, you can scream at them if they don't do it properly. You can sue them for damages if they don't do it properly. Like, for example, last year someone was suggesting that I build a gazebo myself. And I'm like, okay, so if I build a gazebo myself and the goddamn thing actually manages to fall down, who's responsible? Oh, that's right, I'm responsible. But if I pay someone else to do it and it falls down, then that person is responsible. Now, aren't they? I wonder if anyone tells millionaires this stuff. I wonder if people go to Tim Pool and ask Tim Pool, it's like, hey, why do you have a staff in your mansion? Why can't you clean the entire mansion yourself? Why can't you feed those chickens? Why can't you do security and guard your room yourself? For some reason, if you're a millionaire, you don't have people telling you you should do stuff yourself. Like, I'm pretty sure no one tells Jeff Bezos that he needs to do stuff himself. When he wants to commission a yacht, no one is that, hey, Jeff, you should build it yourself. It's not that hard. No one tells him that. And I actually had this argument with a neighbor of mine who's a carpenter. And I asked him, it's like, hey, can I have a wardrobe from you? I'm willing to pay. And he's like, well, why don't you make it yourself? And I told him, I don't have the tools. And he's like, then why don't you go to the shop and buy them? And I'm like, oh, so you went to the shop and bought yours? And he's like, yes. Well, why the fuck didn't you build them yourself? Are you telling me that it's acceptable to have other people do stuff for you and then you can just pay money so you can have it? You didn't build the power tools yourself? And he looked at me like a crazy person. And I'm like, why are you looking at me like that? What about this wood? Did you also buy it from a depot? Oh, you bought it from a depot. You didn't chop it down from the forest. So you're telling me that it's acceptable up to a point to have other people do stuff for you in exchange for cash, but after that point you have to do it yourself. Who decides that? Who makes that logic? I don't think that neighbor is going to talk to me again. Because I like he, you know, like they don't understand the pain and suffering. Like you carry it inside. You have it bottled up inside. It just grows and grows and grows. And, you know, like, he's not responsible for all the pain and suffering that I experienced, but he was the straw which broke my back because I had so much straws on top of me that when he added that little extra one, I just couldn't anymore. I snapped, and he's probably upset at me. And you know what? Like, I bet that this night, if not this one, maybe the next, the neighbor is going to just move around in his bed and during the middle of the night, and he's going to be awake, and it's like, why don't I go to the woods and chop the wood myself? V is right. Because I am right. I just philosophized to his ass. I touched him at an emotional level, I'm sure. He just doesn't realize it yet. He's going to have more time to spend to think on it. And I bet that maybe tomorrow he's going to make his own power tools. He's going to study electricity, and he's going to study mechanics, and he's going to study engineering, and he's going to build his own power tools, right? Because that's the way of the world. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.